Hi everyone, it's Stewart. It's Friday here in Gosport at the team HQ. So where are we? Last week we had a big long discussion about who was going to stop and who wasn't going to stop, and our view of that. Clearly at this stage everyone's now aware that the boat has not stopped. Frankly our view is that this is a non-stop round the world race, and unless you really need to stop then you need to keep going. The guys passed through the Cook Straits between the North and South Island of New Zealand 2 days ago, and it was a pretty emotional time. It was an emotional time for the team, and it was an emotional time for the guys on board, for many reasons, for many different reasons. For Andy, I think it was really difficult to pass by his home, and given what happened in Christchurch, I think it was even more difficult. So the whole thing, getting to the halfway stage, was a big emotional journey, and having what happened in Christchurch 2 days ago happen was also made it even more poignant. It was emotional for Alex. Alex and Ross were down there just in case we did finally decide to stop, and it must have been pretty emotional for Alex to see the guys and to see the boat, and to wave them out into the second half of the race. But we're through, and we're now into the second half of this race. So the theme this week is going to be all about getting back up to speed and getting on with this race and completing the second half of the race. So lots of things happened. So Verback got through, stopped and got out. Mapfre didn't stop and is therefore very close to Verback. We may see the lead change over the next 2-3 days, who knows, and they're clearly well out into the lead. For the rest of the fleet, between 3rd position and 8th, 9th position where we are, there's about 600 miles, 650 miles, and that means that from 8th, 9th where we are to 3rd, there's a relatively small amount of space and time, I guess a couple of days sailing, and therefore it's all to play for. The guys are just approaching the 180 longitude, which means they're halfway around the world, and essentially the race starts again. So we've got the Pacific to go, and then the Atlantic, and let's see what happens. We, firm believer that this race is still all to play for. Who knows what will happen next? The leader, Verback's already stopped twice. Maybe she has to stop twice again on the next half of the race. Who knows what's going to happen? So out there fighting hard. The Cook Straits was emotional. Some of the boats that we thought were going to stop didn't stop, and some of the boats that weren't going to stop, like Estrella, did stop. So who knows what's going to happen? For everyone's nursing at this point some fairly strong attrition on their boats. So from hydraulics to batteries to engines to computers to electronics to sails to ropes, at this point everyone has got a big long list of things that they're having to deal with, and we're no different. So last week I did my thing, pointed at the boat and showed you where the mast track had come away from the mast. That problem still exists for us. We think we've got a plan for how we might be able to fix that at some stage, but right now this is not the point. The other interesting thing that's about to happen as we cross the international date line is there is a cyclone. So there's a tropical cyclone coming down from the North Pacific. It's got a name which always worries me, Cyclone Atu, and it's heading basically straight for the middle of the fleet. So Group L and Estrella are essentially heading straight for their direct path. For us, that's the theme for the next 2 or 3 days, getting past the date line and avoiding a cyclone. Let's see how the fleet gets through that. A long way across the Pacific, and I think the guys are still very much focused on fighting strong in this race, and we're still very excited about what happens next. Okay everyone, that's it for this week.